Okay, broadcasting build working group meeting the 7th of July, 2015. I don't believe we're expecting anyone else for this meeting, so we can just head straight into it.
I guess we could start with a roll call and just talk about what we've done. That's usually a good start. Anyone wants to begin?
I think you do.
Okay, well, I'm going to be very short. I've had a pretty busy time the last 2 weeks, so I haven't done as much as I wanted. I guess I've done some more Ansible stuff, and the good news is that since all our outstanding PRs when it comes to slaves has landed, or I guess we still need some to land the stuff from PPC, but once that's in, I'm gonna start working on abstracting everything. Other than that, I guess most of my work has just been reviewing others' work, so very quiet from my end.
Yeah,
Michael, do you want to tell us about this?
Sure, I'll go next. The first one question, I guess, in terms of the slaves in Ansible, do I need to submit a PR that just adds that machine?
Yeah, so that'd be a good start. And if you have to do any changes, you could just create a pull request and put those in.
Okay.
And then I guess we could just talk about how to get it in as good as possible. There might be some small changes here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I think for that first one, I really just had to add it to the list, and a few tweaks on the machine, like getting the root user with the right certificates and stuff like that. Because the way I got it from the OSL, it was under a different user, I think. But I think once I did that, then it was just running the standard script for Ubuntu 14. The other one, I expect there might be a bit more, but I'll put together a pull request just for that first. Add in the host name.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's a great. No, sorry.
I was going to say, otherwise, yeah, I just managed this just a few hours ago to actually get in and launch a build that ran off of a fork where I'd made the changes needed to compile for power. And it's compiled and ran on Little Endian PPC, which is great. My next step is to get the Big Endian machine working so that we can validate it there as well. And I did submit a pull request. I don't know, are there particular people for this kind of change that I should sort of flag to take a look?
I think that would be perhaps Fedor and Shigeki. What, I can't pronounce his name, sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah, that would probably be the most active guys in that department.
Okay. So I'll do that, and so next week, trying to get the other machine up. And I guess the only last thing is I do actually have a Z Linux machine to add in as well. But that may be a few weeks till I get to that. And in terms of actually getting a build working, we don't have 4.3. It's going to be a later version of V8. You can pull directly from the Google repos. But at some point, I would like to work on a job that would do a hybrid where it pulls from one of the foundation branches and pulls in then the V8 port that we've made for V8 into it, just so we can try and get some coverage, even though it's not directly from the repos that are out there.
Okay.
Alexis, do you want to do?
Sure. Well, as of last week, I finished a Node test pull request, which is the job that should be able to replace IO.js and NPR multi, but it also is built in a way that it uses an internal job, Node test commit, which has a lot more functionality and also allows all the automated merge jobs. So I'm working on the automated merge part. I hope it will be done this week and call this done. Other than that, we have investigated how to increase the hard drive space on some of the Rackspace machines. That's something I wanted to discuss with you guys. And that's it for my stand-up.
Okay. So my stand-up is I accidentally deleted lots of work on Jenkins. And instead it's back a week. The backup was a week old, so mostly it affected Alexis's work. But it sounds like you've got caught back up to where you were.
Yes.
I've done so much other stuff, but I can't collect it in my mind right now. One thing I wanted to bring to this meeting was discussion yesterday in the LTS working group that we're proposing a release timeframe for the Converged repo of August and like early August. So that gives us less than a month to potentially get releases out for that Converged repo. Not sure how realistic that is, but if you think about what that requires from us, there's actually a bunch of steps that are on us to complete to make that work, and to get releases out of there, and to make this whole converged thing a reality. So there's a bunch of things that gives us to do. Aside that, yeah, I'm pushing on 3.0 release and lots of other minor things.
So has the list of things been compiled somewhere?
No, it hasn't. And that's, I guess it's on us to compile that list. But yeah, I'm not sure how we should go about doing that, other than one of us stepping up to think it through. But there's unresolved issues like how do we even, where do we even put these releases? How do we name them? All those sort of things.
Should we open a GitHub issue to keep track of those items?
Yeah.
And try to identify the ones that are absolutely blocking, so that we can focus on those and try to hit this deadline.
Yes, is it?
Oh, also sorry, just while it's in my head, I had a chat to Mike Dolan yesterday and found the path forward to getting paid resources that we need. So I just need to go through the steps to find ideally a purchase order is the easiest way that they can handle it on their end at the moment. So that's how I can go about getting some certificates or the things we need. I'm just going to write down my notes here, and then we can head into some action items or some minutes, so some actual meeting items.
So just a quick question. The LTS release will be cut from what branch? And how, is there a release procedure and is that different from the current release procedure?
I mean, I think Sure, go ahead.
Michael, take it away. No, you take it away. I'm talking.
I was going to say, I think the LTS will be branched from master at the point that it's cut, is my understanding. I mean, at which point we'll need, it'll be on its own branch where we can make changes just in the LTS streams. In terms of it being a different release process, I think there was some discussion, just not much discussion, but the mention that it may need to be a slightly different process or a different set of people or something like that. But I think that's about as far as that discussion got.
And will we call, if we have 2, 3, 4 at that stage, will that be the LTS release? Will we name it differently?
That discussion was still ongoing in terms of how to manage the the fact that we want to make sure that version numbers never overlap between master and the LTS releases. So I think James was going to update the LTS proposal. Like there's a new issue that was opened. So that I think captures what we've landed on in that respect.
Yeah, if you have a look at the README of the LTS working group, you'll see the current proposal. It even has some proposed dates and details. So the idea is that one of the reasons for pushing for August is that we're trying to hit a window whereby an LTS can come out at a specific date each year, and that date needs to be optimized for the users of the LTS. So the ideal at the moment, given that we're looking at the last half of the year, would be October, perhaps late October. So we want to get converged releases out and started to be used before we cut an LTS from it. So the LTS would come out at the same point where there's a merge from next to master. So the main releases bump a major, and LTS takes over from whatever the highest minor was on the last major. So there shouldn't be any version overlaps. So we need to think about, I guess we could propose how we want to distribute those. Do we want to have a separate download directory for LTS releases, or do we want to name the directories differently, or how do we want to do that? And then in terms of versioning, it should be fairly straightforward. So our build jobs should handle it as they are now. It's just a matter of where they put them.
They should also come from Node.js.org, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the things that we need to get working on.
Yeah, I'm just reading it through now. It looks good. And this also means that the branching will be done in the Node repo and not the IO.js repo.
Yep. We're going to need to do some release candidates for the converged repo too before we, land a first version on everyone. It's going to have to be some build up to that.
Yeah.
I suggested that I still thought we should try and get the 3.0 out for IO.js. It's been a struggle, but I think it's worth getting that struggle done in IO.js, and then the converged repo would probably start at 4 then.
Right. So master of the converged would include the IO.js 3, and then yeah. It also gives more time for that level of V8 to be kind of vetted and people to catch up, so that's a good thing.
That also means then that we have a few weeks to land the work being made on PPC as well, and let that kind of stabilize if we want that to be part of the LTS.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, ideally we'd like that to be part of the LTS. So we hopefully have till August at least to do that.
The other thing that would be good to complete is upstreaming of the Node.js changes. So, which are not even complete, but we're currently patching Node.js, and it's not really an ideal situation to go into the converged repo with.
So I recall us talking about perhaps getting more control over that repo. Is that still a work in progress? Is there anything we can do to get that discussion going if it's stale?
Still a work in progress because I didn't really want to attack it until I had something to show, because I didn't want to go to Nate and say, hey, do you think you'd be interested in transferring it? And the current state of what we're doing is these hacky patches. Like, we transfer it to the Node.js org, and we'll apply our hacky patches to it. I wanted to have something a bit more sophisticated in order to demonstrate that we can actually do some good things with it.
We float like, is it 2 patches on top of Jip or no Jip?
I think it's at least 3. In Next, it's at least 3 now. Maybe
wow.
4. Yeah. There's a few things that need to be done.
But is that really a blocker for a release from the Converge repo?
It's not. It's not strictly a blocker. It's just messy because it means you can't npm install npm. You can't use a version of npm outside of the one that we're releasing.
Okay, so that would be a limitation compared to Joy and Node, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if that for the LTS, it would work as is, right? If we're just assuming that the binary will be called Node and all the process information will be Node.
It's true, except if we want to put it in a separate download directory, which I think we should. Instead of just incrementing numbers in that same directory, actually have an LTS directory. And also it wouldn't be downloading the header table, which I think it's something we really want to push on, make sure that that is standard practice going forward.
Yeah, that's a great feature to get in. Yeah, then we really need to get Next into master to get more people using that.
We have to get 3 out. That's what that is.
Yeah.
And that's blocking. Nan is blocking that. The changes on Nan are just epic. That's why. That's a whole lot. So there's lots of pain for everybody. But to mitigate that pain, we need more documentation for Nan, and we need some instructions on step-by-step upgrading of your native add-ons. That's dramatic.
So the biggest blocker at the moment that relies on most people would be getting Next into master, so we can cut 3.
No. Well, yeah. I guess that's the process. Yeah. But getting Next into master has some blocking things.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question about rack-space machines.
Oh, yes.
So those machines are actually very tight on hard disk space. And we discovered this last week when we ran out of this space, because we have a few more jobs now, and every job gets its own workspace and about 9 gigs of it. And so I was wondering if we could add 50 gigabytes to each one of those machines, and it will cost like $25 a month for each machine.
So it's a free account that we have there. So you can just add that stuff, and it won't actually cost us. And we have Ken Perkins in this working group, but he just hasn't been able to make it to any of the meetings. And so he's our he's part of the build working group and also a Rackspace employee, and he's on top of making sure that that resource is available to us. So you can just go ahead and make those changes and assume it'll be okay. I don't obviously start adding tons of Windows machines, but because they're quite expensive, and we initially were given an advice to stick below around $2,000 spend a month. I think we're over that, but Ken, since taking over from that resource, has said that it should be fine, that we can exceed that. So go for it.
Rod, when I added the client test machine, I think there is some kind of limit set to the account, so they have this tire on how much resources we have to spend. So there is, okay. I think there is some kind of limit, and I haven't had enough time to play around with Clang, and I can probably do it locally, so I'll kill that one so we get more resources. But what we could do is just look at the ones we have, and if we can perhaps just reduce the usage of RAM or anything just to bump disk, because that's what I think is kind of what we need. If we need to play with the resources we have, otherwise we should probably talk to Ken and see if he could free some more resources for us.
Yeah, I think that's straightforward. We'll talk to Ken about it. The one I did notice on DigitalOcean, we are hitting a limit there. We can add a couple more machines there, but we bump into a number of machines limit on the account. So it's just a standard quota. I can't remember what the number is, but the problem with DigitalOcean now is that we don't have a great contact there. Probably need to go through Michael, and either I think it's probably going to be John Edgar or maybe even Angelina Fabro, but they're a member of the foundation, so that should be straightforward, I think. But much easier to increase resources at Rackspace at this stage than it is on DigitalOcean. So, yeah, as Johan said, if we bump into limits, then we'll just talk to Ken.
Okay, we'll follow up with Ken on the build channel.
I think you should be able to add disk without hitting that limit. I suspect it's probably a machine limit.
Yeah, and another interesting observation that Joao told me is that he could not expand the disk; he could only add a new one. So means we need to tweak how we use the disks in Jenkins, I suppose.
The other thing I wanted to mention, actually, on that same topic, is I've been trending towards shortening the Jenkins job names because of Windows path issues. When you have compounding job name plus machine name plus other things, you get a really deep directory path, and on Windows you can run into the depth limit or the character limit. So Node test pull request, for example, is kind of long. Mm-hmm. So that it may be fine, but that's just something to be aware of, that we may need to shorten those names just for path limits.
We can just shorten it, no objection, of course.
Is it possible to tell Jenkins just to use a different folder name instead of the job name?
You're welcome to investigate that, but I doubt it.
Okay. I mean, that would be the simplest, if it's an environment variable or whatever.
Yeah, I think it needs to be unique for job plus controlling node, and then that adds in the current build node, and I guess that's just in case you're running on the NFS or something. I don't know.
Okay. Anything else to discuss today?
There's some items from last meeting that are still outstanding, and mainly mine, I think. Julian said that he made progress on enabling releases by additional people. He's got James helping him with releases for 0.10 and 0.12. For the converged repo, I think we want to have a release team that is authorized to make releases for that. So we'll need to find a list of people. It's not really on the build team to do that, but just be aware that that's part of the process that's going to come through, which is that there'll be a list of people that can release. Hopefully not exclusively TC members, and hopefully more than a few. Oh, Johan, did you figure out the Michael's Jenkins access?
Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about that. Michael, perhaps we could just have a quick rundown on what we need to do next to get the PPC bots on board, and just give us a quick status update.
Right. So to get the one of them's up. I just need to actually run through the process of looking at the Fedora Ansible template, adjusting for I think Fedora 20, which is what those are, and getting them up. That may require adjusting the default compiler level for V8. Other than that, then I think the patches in the existing pull request that I have, locally tested, they also pass on the big endian platform. So I think there's nothing else. Hopefully, nothing else to be done there. So I guess the summary of what all we need to get power support enabled is get the other machine up, get the pull request that I have through, and then I guess it's integrating them into the regular builds as opposed to the special job that you've given me that I can run.
Sweet. And we needed to do some kind of exception until we landed in master. That's right, Alexis?
Yes, correct. You can ping me for that. I can make that change. But yeah, once your job is ready to be integrated with the rest of the test CI, I can make those changes.
Sweet.
So that brings me to another question. If once you validate Node test pull request and you see that it does the right thing, how do we announce it? How do we should we retire IOJS NEPR multi, or should we? How do we tell people to start using this one, basically?
We open an issue and describe the changes and CC Node.js collaborators, and then rename it. I think so that and make it obvious. So like put old at the end or something.
Obsolete.
Okay.
I think we should try and let the old jobs stay, so we get history for all the old builds, so we don't start over like we did last time. And then we should just retire creating new jobs with it. And the same time we do this new job, we should try and see if we can get the path changes in. And that way we kind of move forward with a better solution.
The path changes you're talking about for the length of the path?
Yeah, exactly. If we can get that in there as well, we have a new job that that introduces the new workflow for everyone, gives everyone a kind of onboarding time to move from the old procedure to the new procedure.
But the path changes would be an implementation detail, right? It wouldn't be visible to users.
Okay. I have on my to-do just to have a look if we can do some kind of environment change or folder name change to shorten it. But yeah,
okay.
Let's see how that goes.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Okay, shall we wrap it up?
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. Talk to you guys later.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
See you guys.